Everything old is new again. America's entertainment pop culture talk show.
It may well possess a rudimentary intelligence.
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Felt a great disturbance in the force.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
Come on, Mark, like a job for me.
Where's the goodies? Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
I bet you wouldn't have done anything like this if Mom and Dad were here.
You filthy criminal.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Here are your hosts, Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
The court wizardry of Ernie D. Gregorio. He was the little man, and Marvin Barnes was the big man on Providence's team. John Thompson, the Georgetown coach, played for the Friars in the mid-'60s, and that team was captained by a man named Ray Flynn, who's the current mayor of Boston, and it's got to be an extra special feeling for a team like Providence that has really risen rapidly in the Big East, which is a very tough conference indeed. Villanova didn't make the NCAA tournament. They were champs a couple of years ago.
Welcome. Everything old is new again. Douglas Viviani of the Big East. David Cohen of the ACC. How are you, my man?
I'm well. ACC, now Big Ten. But yes, back then ACC.
Wait a minute. Yes, that was 80. That was in the 80s. When did Maryland? You were Maryland Terps.
University of Maryland. Yep.
When did they go to the? They're at the Big Ten now. That's I'm out of it. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Holy smoke!
They went over for the money.
Let me put it this way. I think you'll agree with me on this. We're looking back at college, and let's start with basketball for a moment. I went to Providence College. David Cohen went to University of Maryland. All of us went to different colleges, and it's provincial. But to me, the Big East back in the 80s was huge with Georgetown and Villanova and UConn and Syracuse and Providence and Seton Hall and so forth. ACC, we always were jealous of the ACC. Everyone thought of, and I'm not going to admit it, but ACC had a little bit of an edge over the Big East. Let's be honest.
A little bit.
So maybe 1 or 2 years we were in the game there. Not anymore, of course. But the question, and then BC went to the ACC later on, the 90s, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then things just fell apart. But the 80s to me was, and that's when I, of course, went to college, was the formative years and so much fun for the Big East. But again, the AC. Tell us about the ACC back in the 80s. Who could give us some names? Duke, of course, Maryland.
North Carolina and Duke were always the gold standard. They still are of the ACC. But back in the 80s, like up and down, it's like almost every team in the ACC was good. Virginia, NC State, Clemson, Georgia Tech. There was always a team that was dangerous in the ACC. And Maryland finally won its one and only title. But I don't think that was until like 1990 or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, they were always a contender. That's for sure.
And so what was it like? It was the game, were the games for your team played on campus or somewhere else? I think on campus.
Yeah, no, they played on campus, and we used to sleep out, believe it or not, for tickets, especially if they were playing Duke or North Carolina. That was a big deal. And we would go the night before, we were so crazy, and sleep outside online to get tickets the next morning so that we could be on the floor. We usually get floor seats, so like sit behind the Maryland bench. But those games were just so much fun, and the arena was packed, and the enthusiasm for the school, and it was usually national television, and it was just part of the overall college experience, regardless of whether you were into sports. If you were at a big sports school, I think, in my opinion anyway, you always, you had to go to the football game or the basketball game or whatever it was, because it was a big part of campus life.
Correct. But now, there's a lot that happens in between, before the games or after the games.
You mean like classes and stuff?
Classes, and yeah, exactly. It's not just that. So I want to bring you, before I go into a typical experience at a Providence experience I had at a Providence game at the Civic Center, I want to talk about a little bit about, let's just say, the team that I followed, of course, was with Otis Thorpe was our big player.
I remember
Otis
him.
Thorpe was my man, and we'll talk about that. But before we do, let's get into I would say this. I have a story that tells you how Otis Thorpe almost made me a legend at Providence College.
Really?
That's upcoming, yes.
Interesting.
However, And I want to tell you was a story about how I made a local TV host named George Allen a legend at Providence College.
Not the George Allen of the Washington football team.
No. George Allen of Channel 12, I should say. I don't remember the call letters, but of Channel 12 television. He had a show called Dialing for Dollars. Now, did you have one by you? It was a kind of a franchise. No? Does it sound familiar?
No, I was usually socializing with friends, not listening to the radio.
No, this is actually television, and this would be after you went to school for the day, kind of before or during dinner time. In other words, like the 4 o'clock movie.
So it was like a thing everybody did on campus, right?
Everybody in our dorm did anyway. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So
we had something like that,
right?
Yeah.
So you'd get so we were all would watch, and we would watch these movies, these bad B movies, like Mothra or Godzilla or The Out of Towners, which is a good one, but some movies like that, older movies, and George Allen would come on in between, and Dialing for Dollars was the most hokey, silly show that all of us had ever seen. Some of us came from Boston, some came from New York. We were in Providence now, and it was an odd thing where he would make telephone calls in the commercials, calling people, and if they were watching the movie, to ask them a secret question, and they would win $1,700 or $3 or some crazy thing.
So he would call you?
Not us, but you'd have to be a resident. In other words, you have to be in the white pages. So college kids are not in the white pages, right? So he would
just pick a number at random and make a phone call?
Yes. Between almost all commercial breaks, he would do this. And then he would count down. How
successful was he in getting actually in touch with someone who would pick up the phone and was actually also watching the movie?
That's the thing. We would watch this. We would have a kick because we would watch this guy, and the poor guy who would count down. You'd hear him, and he'd use his fingers, okay? He'd use his thumb to his pinky first, and he'd go 1 ring. And then he'd use the next finger, 2, and he'd count 3, 4, and then go back to the pinky, 5, 6 rings. Okay, 6 rings, Joan from Woonsocket, Rhode Island, you didn't answer the phone. You missed the opportunity to win $347. The next call will be $349. And let's go back to Mothra versus Godzilla, and we'll come back and we'll try it again. So here's George. Now, I was going through the research of this story, this story, and I was saddened to hear, because I tried to find George Allen and have him come on the show, so I know he would have. 2010, he passed away. So that's how out of touch I was at 71. But in his obituary, it says he was the senior producer and host for Dialing for Dollars on both Channel 6 and 79 to 93 and Channel 12 from 67 to 70. So 79 to... So he was Channel 6 for us. And it says on the obituary, and was a legend at local college, Providence College.
Cool.
How did George Allen, this guy that counted off telephone numbers or rings of the phone and giving
how
away...
did he become such a big hit at Providence?
Unbelievable. Here's a little clip of him doing it. It's the only thing I could find, but just to give you a flavor.
Oh, good.
You just got home, you're just joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Just update your notes. $746 in the jackpot. One from the top is the count. Here's more of Soul Survivor.
So that's how he was...
Great voice.
The great voice, the ultimate professional. He was a very cool dude. And shouldn't say that right now, but we didn't know. And we would watch him, and we would make, college kids, we would just make fun of this.
Sure.
We would just laugh at the movies, and then we'd say, oh, George is on. Like, we would watch George more than the movie. Because, yes, would he ever get in touch with anybody? Very rarely. Very rarely. Most of the time, here's Dialing for Dollars in action.
Hi, George L. back with a second phone call. This one worth $90 if we can just find somebody to take the money. Well, actually, you have to be called and know the keyword, which is wrapping. I'm trying to find somebody at home in Clayton today and give away $90 on our second phone call. Had a big winner yesterday. Finally able to give the money away.
$90.
That's our 6 rings gone by.
I cut the
Nobody
rings out.
apparently home. A number of people have wondered from time to time how they can become eligible to be called on Dialing for Dollars. And the only way is if you are listed in one of the area phone directories, then you do have a chance. We have an independent research company that supplies us with the cards, names, address, and numbers in sealed envelopes, which, of course, we call.
So silly. He would open an envelope and out would come a number and a name. He could have just, all they did was look in the white pages.
Look in the white pages, yeah.
But they had an independent company that did that. There's some guy in the back room, some intern, So there's a little piece of the show. How did I make that guy? And I did it. I have to tell you. I have to be not honest, not modest at all. How did I make, or all of my buddies make, George Allen a legend at Providence College? We'll be back.
I don't know
how.
You just got home. You're just joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon.
I'm calling on Mr. Cleveland Prince right here in the city. We seem to be having some trouble getting a hookup. Can I hang up? Okay, I'll wait. Doesn't seem to be home. Well, that's too bad. Mr. Prince might have been our $2,400 winner if he'd just been home.
Hello?
Mr. Cleveland Prince?
My daddy's not home.
This is Mo Green on Dialing for Dollars. Are you watching today's Money movie, little boy?
No.
Oh, I didn't think you were. Well, tell your daddy that if he could have told me the name of today's movie...
Changing Partners.
How did you know that?
It was in the TV guide.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New again. We're talking college and the David Cohen, the Maryland Terp himself. Terpin? I hate that name.
I like Terpin.
Do you like Terrapin? Did you like being called a Terrapin? Did that work for you?
Yeah, usually it was a Terp. You were a Terp. They shortened it.
It's a turtle.
Yeah, it was kind of a lame mascot.
So is the Friar. Providence College Friar is kind of lame, too.
Yeah, the Friar was lame.
Yeah,
Didn't you used to have this big guy? Used to be an actual mascot down on the court, but he was this very huge, big head, actual friar. Look ridiculous, right?
It was like a triangle, if that makes sense. It would bow out from his neck too.
Yeah,
big fat kind of a guy. That makes sense.
Yeah, if you Google it, old images of the Providence College mascot, you'll see it's a bit scary.
It really was. It was, and it was something you could not be. Oh, God, do I say this? You couldn't be proud of it.
I have to tell you, Doug, though, that yesterday. I'm dating the show here a little bit, but Providence was playing UConn yesterday on national TV, college basketball. And my son was over. He's going to be 23. And he's like, what game is this? I go, Providence and UConn. And he goes, Providence Friars? He's looking at the name. I go, yeah. He goes, that's a cool name. So there you go. I showed him the mascot, and then he was like, oh, yeah. Okay.
You're right, though. The name, he's right. The name, you're not going to hear that anywhere else. It's kind of unique. There's no pro team. There's going to be Friars and whatever. I think the Hoyas is very cool from Georgetown. You know what a Hoya is? It's not a dog.
Bulldog, right?
It's an immovable object. They use the bulldog to try to represent that.
Oh, I see.
So I think that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I mean, the college basketball is different now. It's still fun and all that. I still like college basketball. But they changed the leagues around so much, right, that from what they originally were that we remember. But I guess we're dating ourselves because I guess the person that's following Big East and ACC now, that's their lineup, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's okay for them. But before we get to the college stuff, basketball stuff.
Yeah, so you're putting George Allen on the map at Providence College. You were getting to.
Yeah, we're just trying to set the scene of what these fans, if you will, of Otis Thorpe and Providence College are like before he became a legend. And this is what it was all about. We had George Allen was our man, and he would introduce the movies. Here we go.
You're listening to Everything Old is.
That's not George Allen.
No, he's not. We would introduce the movies like this all the time.
You just got home. You're just joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Just update your notes. $746 in the jackpot. One from the top is the count. Here's more of Soul Survivor.
Just like Mo Green there with Harold Ramis. Remember? We just started from SCTV. That was the clip that started our section here. Remember? It was just
right.
SCTV always touched upon these topics, don't you think? Like the oddities. That's why we loved it so much. Because Saturday Night Live did standard stuff, like whatever. They'd imitate the president, whatever, like the big things. And SCTV would take the little mundane things and make them funny.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I love that show. And I had that mindset going in. And so we would basically 3 or 4 days a week after college, classes. We'd all get together in my or different rooms and watch whatever the movie was, the 4:30 movie hosted by George Allen, and he would do dialing for dollars in between all the commercials. He would try to get someone from the white pages in the Providence or, general listening area of the television station, watching area, and call them up and see if they knew what movie was playing or some secret word or code or whatever, and they'd win the $729 or whatever was there to be had. And so as college kids, you like don't you like the mundane, the odd, you're always looking for something different. You don't want to be the standard bearer of, the traditional stuff. You want to be something different. So we're all looking at George Allen, and he's becoming sort of big in our lives. Big, and for the silliest thing of just counting down with a thumb to the pinky, then to the ring finger, then to the middle finger.
The number of rings.
Only up to 6. Yeah. So, literally in class, I would look over to a buddy, and I would do the finger thing. We're bored out of our mind. So I would do the finger thing. We're looking forward to George. I would do the fingers.
That's funny.
So we'd look over and, okay, we're getting ready for George, Then sometimes we'd order the pizza in, or something instead of going down to get the food because the movie was actually good. Half the time it was not so good, but I wanted to see George. So, all right. So it didn't hit it. Again, you're 18, 19, 20, entertainment world, even the local host of a dialing for dollars is sort of beyond your reach. You're sort of, you're kind of I don't know how did that guy get to be there? What's he all about? So there's a distance there. There's a wall. And I said, and I guess one day I maybe had a drink or a beer or something when we were watching this show. And I said, guys, forget waiting for him to call us. Why don't we call George Allen? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, we can look up Channel 6. It's right down literally Providence's school. School is close to the city, and it's a small city. We can look this. As a matter of fact, I know where that station is. I Channel 6, the billboard's right there, blah, blah, blah. So I take my car, and I go there, and I get their driver's license. I get the phone number from the billboard of... right on the building, it gives you the phone.
From on a billboard on the building.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Because, there's no internet, there's no cell phones, nothing. You can't, look this stuff up. So I let's give a call. So I give a call, and I literally get George Allen on the phone.
You mean
he's answering the phone? This is
he answered the phone?
Yeah, this is like everything old is new again. You and I are the show, right? That's it. If someone calls us right now, they're going to talk to me or you.
So this was the local Channel 6 news. You called the number that they have listed publicly.
Well, it's not.
And this guy actually answers the phone.
Yeah, it's not only the news, of course. It's the station, which is
the news station. Right. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Syndicated station. Some of the only thing that actually is new being broadcast is the news, or this little interstitial in between the 4:30 movie where he's trying to give away $742. But to us, he was a big dude. He was good. He was
it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, right? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly.
So he's the one answering the phones, and
George answers the phone. and I didn't know that. I said, "Hi, this is Douglas calling from Providence College, WDOM." I try to make it like I'm a big deal because that's the name of the radio station that we had on campus. So I was trying to add a little something to it, right?
Sure.
I go, "May I speak with George Allen, please?" Speaking. That froze me in my. I was frozen. What do you mean speaking? What do you mean speaking?
And you knew it was him, right? Because it sounded like he had a very distinctive voice.
Clearly. I said, I said, George, I'm calling from Providence College. We are sophomores in Providence College, and we love the show. We would love if you would come over. We're having a party next Friday night. We would love for you to come over and make an appearance and do a countdown for us. He goes, countdown? I goes, yeah, the 6 countdown. And he says nothing. And then I hear some pieces of paper. He's literally checking his calendar as we speak on the phone. Because we didn't, again, it was paper back then, right? I could hear him turning his diary. What are those little day planners? And he goes, you mean Friday the 18th? Yeah, Friday 18th. What time? And now we didn't have any parties. We had no party
You
scheduled.
were calling his bluff, yeah.
We had no party scheduled. I said, how about the party starts at 7? Because I knew the 4:30 show was over at 6.
So give him enough time to come over.
He goes 6 o'clock. He goes 7. Okay, I'll have a little bite to eat. And go. Like that was too much time for him. He's over at 6. Apparently he's out of the show at 6:01. He goes, he's going to kill time. He goes, yeah, I'll get a little bite to eat and come on over.
And it's still unclear, at least to me, what you were asking him to do at the party.
Just want him to come over. Just count down the 6, 5, 1, 2.
Right, but like in what you mean to
Good
the
question.
start of the party?
That was just what did I do? I came up with whatever I could do. I mean, I couldn't make.
So you just thought of it on the fly as you were speaking with him.
Yeah, we need you to do a countdown. You know, we're gonna have at a party. We're gonna have a party. We love to join you in the countdown. I think is what I said. We'll have a little fun with the countdown, something of that nature.
Okay.
Now this guy's in his 40s at the time, so and he's well respected. He's literally wearing a suit and a tie on the show on this Dialing for Dollars, and he's George Allen. He's our guy, but I never thought we would get him to come to a party. So I get off the phone. I give him the directions. I tell him this, that, and the other. I give him our phone number.
Yeah.
There's a location where it's off campus. We have parties at somebody's house. I gave him the directions, but that was irrelevant. I said, we're in Raymond Hall in Providence College, and we're room boop, whatever. Give us a call, and we'll come out and get you. He says, yeah, I'm in. Okay, 18th. I'll see you then. And I hear in the background the movie being played. And I hear the movie like just about end. And as he's hanging up the phone, I hear him start in again with this.
You just got home. You're just joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon.
So you called him in the middle of his show.
Yeah, right in the middle. And then he started the show. And then he hangs up, and I tell the guys, everybody cheers. They freak out. They cannot believe what's going on. This is going to be the greatest day of our lives. What's this all about? Viviani, you got in touch with George Allen. Word spread in that dorm room, and then down to the dorm, and then the whole building, and then the whole school. Within 2 hours, the phone was ringing off the hook. I'll be back right after this. Everything goes new again. Yes, of all the kids.
People were trying to, because that was the way you communicated back then. You had to call somebody.
Absolutely.
There was no texting. That was the way you tried to reach someone. You called them on the dorm phone or on your, if you had a phone in your room.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. And you're lucky it was a push button. If not, many of them had to dial still. We'll be back right at this. Everything goes new again. We'll find out what happens when George Allen appears for a party at Providence College as per Douglas Viviani's request.
You just got home. You're just joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon.
Now, back to America's entertainment pop culture talk show. Everything old is new again with Douglas Viviani and David Cohen.
You just got home. You're just joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Just update your notes. $746 in the jackpot. One from the top is the count. Here's more of Soul Survivor.
How long have you been in the service, Colonel? 18 years. Well. Lifetime pension coming up. Got it made, haven't you? The service has been good to me, sir.
Welcome back to Everything Old is New Again. Douglas Viviani with David Cohen. That was George Allen, a local celebrity, sort of doing his show, Dialing for Dollars. We've talked about this. We're getting rolling on this here. And that's a movie he introduced, the typical type of movie, Soul Survivor. It's William Shatner from Star Trek, Richard Basehart. Yep, Richard Basehart from, there's a Star Trek convention reference. There's Richard Basehart from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The two of them together in a movie. And probably one of the worst movies that's ever been made.
Yeah, I was going to say, what could possibly go wrong?
But George Allen was there to introduce that movie and so forth, and we were enamored. So, okay, so now George is ready to come to Providence College. Now, I'm getting calls now because the word spread. And he was literally lots of guys. I don't know about the young ladies, but a lot of guys watched this 4:30 movie. And everyone knew George Allen. But it was undercover. Like, no one really talked about it. Who's going to talk about this guy, right? But when word was out that he was coming to a party, which we had yet to schedule, word got out. And the phone started ringing. So now we got a party. Everybody wants to come. Everybody wants to meet George Allen. Everybody's all hopped up.
Sure.
This is a local celebrity. This is like a big thing. So for Providence College, we're not in the ACC. We're not the University of Maryland. We got to sleep out for tickets. We get whatever ticket we want for whatever game we want, whatever we want. There's no waiting in line.
It's also a small college,
yes,
right?
Yes, much smaller.
Maryland was like over 20,000 people. Yeah.
Right. And in Maryland, you didn't. Maybe you didn't have other things to do. We had so many other things to do, like watch Dialing for Dollars rather than go to the game. Anyway, so I'm getting the phone call. So now we've got the party scheduled. It's an off-campus party. We're going to go to Tappan Street, somebody's house, an upperclassman. They're allowed to have parties over there. Drinking age is 18, if you remember. We are going to have him meet us at Raymond Hall. That's where we live. So here it is. What are we going to do for this guy? Got to do something. So Tim Phelan, we've had him on the show, talk a little ways back about coaching, my good buddy from college. He goes to the bookstore and picks up, he says, we got to get something for George Allen. We have very little money. He picks up a green tie with, the friar that we were just talking about?
Yeah.
The friar is on the tie. And he's
but that's a thoughtful gesture.
Yeah. And the friar is it's the hockey tie, and he's actually got a hockey stick. He's with a puck, whatever, and there's 17 of them. They're just little figurines on the tie. So all right, it's a nice thought, right?
Sure.
So we got something to give for him. We're going to go to a party. We don't know what's going to happen. In fact, we think he's going to show up, say hello, do a countdown, get back in the car, and leave. That's our idea, right? I mean, we're lucky we get that. We'd be happy to see that. This is our guy.
I mean, it's crazy that he just agreed to show up because some random guy called and asked him to show. I mean, that would never happen today.
Yeah.
This was definitely a in the moment type of situation.
Yes. And of course, I gave the call letters to the radio station WDOM. I was Doug in the Morning at the time. So I may have said that, which meant absolutely nothing to anyone. Except maybe he just said, well, this is legit because the guy knows the call letters of the station and gives his morning moniker.
Okay, I mean, okay.
I don't know how it clicked. Somehow he was like, yeah, I'm going.
It was another, you were calling from another media outlet, basically.
Right. So, okay. So it's the show's over. We watched the movie that night or afternoon. It's 6:00, We are all hopped up. We get a keg of beer in the dorm, and we're all drinking a little bit here and there just to kind of pregame it a little bit and see. Let's be honest, we're 18 now. We're 19 and 20. We're kind of nervous. Have you ever met any celebrities at that age? Legit, nobody.
Right.
You don't know, man. You're kind of nervous. Even though you want to play it cool, and this is only... But you see this guy on television every day when you watch these movies.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
He has some gravitas. How ridiculous as it sounds. That's, to me, the whole thing was that. That was the whole thing, that we're getting hopped up, and about... literally the guy, he could be the guy cutting your grass next door, the neighbor next door. He's not anything huge, but the whole school, at least in our grade, got all hopped up. So, okay, he up pulls this car. This big sedan, like a Chrysler New Yorker, pulls up. I remember this gold car with the black roof, and we're looking outside. And he gets out of the car, and he's looking around. And he's a little early. He's literally early. I go, George Allen's here, guys. He's here. We open the window. We scream out, Georgie, we'll be right down, George Allen. And he just gives a wave. He's very kind of together. We all rush down. We're all hopped up. We got the tie in a little, box to give to him as a gift. George, how are you? We all meet him. It's very kind of formal, and we say, we're so excited. He goes, where's Viviani? Right here, okay. And I shake his hand or whatever. You're Doug in the Morning? Yes. Okay. He goes, haven't heard the show. I'm going to listen to it tomorrow. I go, well, I'm only on Tuesday mornings. College radio, you're nothing.
Doug in the Tuesday morning.
Doug in the Tuesday morning from, I think, 7 to 9. Okay, anyway, he's just being nice. He wasn't going to listen to anything. But so then he says, okay, guys, meets everybody, shakes hand, everything. And some people actually wanted autographs. Believe it or not, he started signing autographs right then and there.
Cool.
So that was weird. So nobody has cameras and stuff like that. There's no cameras, and it's like we don't have cell phones. So this is all a memory.
Right.
So there's Tim Phelan. He gives him the gift right then and there.
The tie.
He goes, this is from the guys in Raymond Hall. He goes, he opens it up. Wow, thank you guys. This is, very professional. This is very nice of you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to spend the night with you guys at this party. What? What?
What?
We thought we were on to the party without him. We thought like we're lucky we got this right here. We just gave him the gift. We've done everything we could do. We said hello. We got the autographs. What else are we going to do? It's a countdown, but we didn't know what that meant, right? We thought we were done. All right, there is a party. We're excited because on the off chance that he was coming, we knew that there was, there's a party. So
it would be a legitimate party, right?
So we go to Tappan Street, somebody's house, his kid's house. He's like, God, a senior, whatever. And it's kind of like the Animal House, Animal House, I guess you'd say, the Delta House, where you walk in, and they got like the fish tank with the goldfish, right? They got the bad shag carpeting. They got the table, the table from the 1950s with the little Argyle thing, pictures on it and all that. It's clearly a college house, and especially with all used furniture that they try to make it look nice,
sure.
Right? But for us, it was heaven. And so we go there, and then we start, everybody sees, that's George Allen. You brought George Allen. George Allen's here. Everybody starts to know George Allen. All the girls come up to George Allen. All the girls want a picture with George Allen.
I was going to ask, are there girls at this party?
He's having a time of his life, this guy. The girls are all over him talking. He's a celebrity. This guy is having the greatest night of his life. This guy wouldn't...
So the girls knew him, even though you said before you thought it was mostly guys that watched the show. Obviously, there were some girls that knew him.
I really have to be clear. Providence College has dorms, all male and all female dorms. There's no mix.
Oh, I see.
So I should have been clear about that. That's why we had no idea what the girls did in their dorm rooms.
Okay.
We had no idea what they watched.
But apparently some of them were watching as well.
Just as many as the guys. The place is packed. He's drawing a crowd. George is drawing a crowd. Then out comes the lunatic. There's always the one drinking guy, right? Did you ever have these beer bongs? You ever have these beer bongs?
Sure.
All right. So you got the funnel with a tube, and you put it in your mouth. You pour. Now we're not suggesting anyone do this now. This is back in the day before we knew how horrible the result could be for all of this, right? But we're fools. What do we know? Out comes the beer bong, and you pour a beer in the top of it, and literally in 15 seconds, you consume 12 ounces of alcohol.
Yeah.
A horrible thing to do. I would never do it again. Anyway, so there's some guys, and they start off, and they go, George, do the countdown. And he looks around. He doesn't even know what this thing is. He goes, what do you mean do the countdown? Do the countdown. So he goes 6, 5, with the fingers, 4, with the fingers down to the pinky, 3, 4 finger, 2, 1. And after 1, everybody starts screaming. They pour the beer down, and some guy's drinking a beer doing the count from George Allen. That was the countdown to the beer bong.
That was the official countdown
Don't you know? There's a line of kids. A line. George, me next, George. Everyone wants to do a beer bong counted down by George Allen. And he was more than happy to accommodate.
Really? He kept doing it?
Yes. That's not the reason why he's a legend, but we're getting there. We'll be back on Everything Old's New Again to continue and find out, how did George Allen become a legend at Providence College?
You just got home? You're just joining us? Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Just update your notes. $746 in the jackpot. One from the top. You just got home? You're just joining us? Good afternoon. Welcome. Nice to have you with us this afternoon. Just update your notes. $746 in the jackpot. One from the top is the count. Here's more of Soul Survivor.
There we are. David Cohen, Douglas Viviani, and Everything Old is New Again. We are talking about college, Providence College, and how Douglas Viviani may have, let's give it a little of that, may have actually had something to do with George Allen being known as a local legend at Providence College. He was a local host, we just heard him, of Dialing for Dollars on a local station in Providence that would play a 4:30 movie, and he would count down. If he could get somebody on the phone, he would call somebody on the phone from the white pages, and he'd give them 6 rings. If they didn't answer in 6 rings, he moved on, and if he called and got you in the 6-ring time frame, he'd ask a question to prove that you were actually watching the movie. And if so, you would win the $657 or whatever they have on the Dialing for Dollars docket. Make sense?
Makes sense to me, yeah.
All right, so he's
counting down for beer funnels.
Right. At Providence College on Tappan Street. Yep. We're all having a grand old time. He's having a fun time. He's drinking a regular beer. He's not, he's very refined. He's not doing anything terrible. They're asking him to count down. He's counting down, but he's smiling. He's laughing. He's having a fun time with the girls. The girls are all over him, talking to him. He's signing autographs. He's doing the signs, the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 business. And he's actually counting from 1 to 6, I should say. It starts at 1. And that's pretty much it. And so we're like, okay, George, where are we going to go with this now? How much, there's a generation gap. He's wearing a suit. We're, college kids. He's in his 40s, so he definitely could be our dad in some way if he had kids relatively young in his 20s, right? So we're trying to, and we're not experienced with life. We're in college. We're doing the best we can. We're having a really fun time with him. He's counting. There's a lot of people that want him to do the countdown. Okay, during drinking the beers and so forth. So we, I go to the men's room, let's say, and I come back, and the party's loose, and we sort of lose touch. He's in the middle of a lot of people, so I'm not watching the whole thing that's going on. But at some point in time, George Allen, and I see this from afar, turns. This is like an hour and a half into the party, maybe 2 hours. He's had a couple of cocktails. And actually he had a driver driving him, by the way, in that car. So it was good. He had seemed to have planned sort of to have a fun time. So I don't have to say this, but I have to just come out and say it. It's a strange thing. He went to college in the 60s. What was let me ask you a question. I'll ask the question, don't answer. What was one of the big crazes in the 50s and 60s in college? All I could tell you is George Allen had that in his mind. He's in college now. It's 25 years later after college for him. He's flashing back to the 60s and early 60s in college.
Literally flashing back. Having flashbacks.
Yes. He looks over his shoulder and he sees goldfish floating around in this tank. I'm looking from afar. Don't you know? Uh-oh. I see George Allen roll his sleeve up. He takes the jacket off first. By the way, he's got the jacket with the number 12, the 12 on it. Channel 6 on it. He's wearing the station jacket, which is the one that he wore on the show all the time. Yeah.
Wow.
Tan jacket. I can remember it to this day. And I see him take the jacket off. I go, he's getting loose. It's okay. That's cool, man. He's rolling up his sleeve. What the hell's he doing? He's rolling his sleeve. What is he doing? He turns around. He goes into the fish tank. He grabs a goldfish. I swear to God, it's total truth. And I make my way towards him. I go, this is going to be something. I go, I got to be here for this. What is he doing? He grabbed the goldfish by its back fins. He opens his mouth. He looks up in the air. He opens his mouth. He swallows a goldfish.
Oh, he swallowed a goldfish?
Swallowed a goldfish. Swallowed a goldfish. This is what they did in the 60s and the 50s. Remember? It was a big craze. Look it up. Swallowing goldfish was a big thing you did in college. That was the thing to do.
Why?
Because you feel the thing floating down and swimming down your belly. And I didn't do it. I don't know why you do it, but that's what it was. It was a big thing. George Allen just ate the guy's goldfish. George Allen's on Tappan Street. He just ate a goldfish. The word spread like wildfire. George Allen just ate a goldfish on Tappan Street. No one. This is unbelievable.
I think I read that book. George Allen just ate a goldfish on Tappan Street.
Needless to say, he had a wonderful time that night. It was a lot of fun, blast and everything. Monday morning, don't you know, we turn on Dialing for Dollars Monday morning. We want to see what's happening with George. Is he going to mention us? What's going to happen? All right, so there's George Allen. The movie is, I don't remember the movie now, but I do remember it. Von Ryan's Express with Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good movie. So we're all involved, and we're watching. We go, what will George do? Will George even talk about us? Will he mention to anybody he went to Providence? Whatever. George Allen, at some point in time, we see the camera focus on George, and he's wearing as usual. He's wearing that jacket. Don't you know he's wearing our green tie with the friar on it?
He wore the tie.
He wore the tie.
Wow.
So, okay, there's the tie. That's the first thing. So we're all hopped up. The man's been, he's wearing a tie. Timmy, get in here. He's wearing a tie. Everybody's cheering and going crazy. We have the windows open in our dorm. We could hear McDermott across the way, another room, another dorm. They're all cheering. The minute the camera goes onto the tie, everyone's cheering. I can hear it through the campus. Everyone's cheering. That's not it. That's not the end of it. He then says, I want to thank Douglas Viviani, like another break, another in the movie, another half hour later. I just want to take the time to say I had a great time this weekend with the guys and gals at Providence College. Providence, you really know how to show a guy a good time. Thank you, Douglas Viviani and Tim Phelan, my buddy, my roommate who bought him the tie, for inviting me to Providence College. I'm there anytime you guys want. I'll do the countdown. We had a great time. Oh, there's cheers. Everybody's cheering. Oh, there's papers going out of windows. Hey, just got mentioned in Providence College. Just got mentioned on TV. Oh, that's not the end of it. The end of the show, he's doing one more countdown, right? He's doing the countdown, and he can't get the person. It's 6, 5, 4 with the hand, 3. We're all hopped up. Dude, George Allen, this is the greatest day, man. He just mentioned us. He's wearing our tie. He goes to 1. He goes up. No good. He goes, okay, $742, another $40 in the bin. There'll be $782 on Tuesday. Tune in for Dialing for Dollars. Providence and college, again, thank you so much for a great time. He smiles. He puts the phone down. Literally, this is different. He didn't always do this. The camera followed him take the phone itself, the receiver. He took the phone. The camera followed him, put the phone, and hang the phone up. And don't you know, right next to the phone is a goldfish swimming in a goldfish bowl. And he looks down. He bends down, and he just smiles and points to the goldfish.
Oh, wow.
And they fade out.
Oh, my gosh. That was brilliant. Wow.
George Allen showed us a thing or two about production, about entertainment, about about Channel 6 and what they can do at Dialing for Dollars. George Allen became a legend from that point on at Providence College.
Did you remain in touch with him after that, or that was sort of like the one-time shot?
It was a one-time shot, though. We did call every so often and say hello and wish him a Merry Christmas and whatever it might be, the holiday, what have you, but it never went anywhere from there. We figured there's nothing else we can do here.
Yeah, right.
We have done everything.
Yeah, no, it was a one-and-done sort of thing. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
How long did he stick around at the party?
Oh, it had to be at least 3 hours. At least 3 hours. Yeah. Yeah. He was in Tapestry from let's call it 8 to 11.
Did he drink a lot?
Well, he had the cans of beer, so it was hard. He never did anything else. So it was hard to tell how many beers he had, and it was such a crowd.
But it was like social drinking, basically.
Yes. No, he wasn't drunk by any means. No. But he was reliving his college days, that's for sure.
Yeah.
With the goldfish. Yeah. I mean,
that is so funny. What a great story.
That is I cannot wait to hear my buddies at Providence hear that story, because once in a while there's a reunion, and we do talk about the George Allen story. But many times...
Listen, I know we're doing this Everything Old is New again, but this sounds like this is morphing into like an episodic TV show. It really is. This thing with George Allen is an episode of your life. And as past shows have been, as Jerry said to George, I think you might be onto something here.
The show about nothing, but it always is about something. But it's the minutia. You're right. There's I think I know all of us have these stories. If you're able to, remember them. Life goes on and stuff gets in the way. But as you start
I'm sure all of us do. I don't, but I'm sure a lot of people do. But Doug, you're doing it. You're doing it, and you're a great storyteller, and it's terrific. That was just a great story.
Thank you. I give all the praise to George Allen. May he rest in peace. And listen, until we meet again, onward and upward, I tip my cap to George Allen for all he did for us. And by the way, that was just one day of his life. The guy must have been a great guy. He must have, do that.
He really sounds like just a super guy. Just panning the camera down and showing the goldfish in the bowl, and then him leaning down and pointing at it. I mean, come on, that's priceless.
Literally only Providence College people would know that.
Exactly. It was like the ultimate inside wink,
Exactly. He was the greatest. All right, hopefully someday somebody will talk about us like this. But anyway, we'll be an accident back next week to continue more fun, more thrills, adventure, pop culture, entertainment, and everything old's new again.